deadliest crashes in recent memory. Among the victims were passengers as well as pedestrians. Zimbabwe records a road traffic accident every 15 minutes, according to the Traffic Safety Council statistics. Public transport, especially commuter omnibuses and long-distance buses, remain central to this entire crisis. Now, an average of 2,000 victims lose their lives on the road every year, and according to world statistics that were released in 2023, 41 per every 100,000 people die of road traffic injuries here in Zimbabwe. However, informal transport operators often work outside of the compliance systems that have been put in place, and emergency response teams are stretched thin. Again, we are asking, what really can be done to reduce these accidents? What measures have to be put in place in order to stop road carnage and make sure that lives are preserved on our roads? Well, look no further than today's episode of The Chase as we unpack these and other issues. With me in studio today, I'm joined by four gentlemen. Honorable Tawanda Karikoga, Chairperson, Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Transport and Infrastructure Development. We also have Munesu Munodawafa, Managing Director, Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe. Fredrick Maguraminga, President, Zimbabwe United Deregulated Commuter Operators, popularly known as ZUTCO, as well as Elliot Chvige, the practitioner in charge at Discovery Ambulance Services. Our discussion, road carnage, who is to blame? Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me on The Chase.
Thank you so much. Good evening.
Now, to all our viewers, please know that all the views that are expressed on The Chase are those of our guests and do not reflect the views of Zimbabwe's 1980 or those of Seke and Prime. Let's cut straight to The Chase. Yesterday, a deadly accident, on the 22nd of July, deadly accident on the country road, Seke Road in particular. Elliot, you say you were one of the first emergency operators that were on the scene. Can you just describe to us what you saw and what was happening?
Thank you so much, Faith. Thank you so much, Zetien, for the opportunity. We received a call yesterday from ICZ, Insurance Council of Zimbabwe, that there was a crash along Seke Road at the waterworks or at the waterworks bridge, and we responded swiftly. I'm not sure what time it happened, but I can confirm that we received a call around 10:30, and it took us about 15 minutes. 10:45, we were already there with some difficulties. The road was so congested and people were crowded. They could not even give emergency service providers space to do their job. And the police officers that were there, I think they were limited in number. They could have dispersed the crowd to allow us to do our job. But what I can say is, Faith, an accident is an accident. That was a real accident. It's not something that can be planned. We have not yet received the reports from the police to say who was at fault or who did what. But I'll tell you from an EMS, Emergency Medical Services perspective, there's a concept that is called trimodal death pattern. Trimodal death pattern is a concept that has it that death post-crash that occurs immediately, a few minutes to at least 1 hour post a crash is called immediate death. There's nothing no one can do except probably Road Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, preventive measures only. They're the ones that we can look for. So this was what typical immediate death on the trimodal death pattern. The second is called early death. Early death is an hour to 24 hours post a crash. Someone who dies there, this is where emergency medical services kicks in. And I can confirm that we were there within, say, 30 minutes post the crash. So, which means we did everything that was possible. But I can tell you that this was the immediate death. People died within an hour. They were all crashed. They were trapped. This truck was on top of the combi, and the combi was squashed flat. When we got there, there were a lot of cries. We could hear some cries, and the cries diminished by each minute that passed. We were waiting for a crane to come and remove the truck at the scene. Then the third pattern, which is called the late pattern, is when someone dies years, should I say a year or so after a crash. This is a bearing probably they could have picked secondary injuries in the hospitals, infections in the hospitals. We normally blame the hospital for those deaths or mismanagement by EMS as well. So I can safely say this was an immediate death and there was nothing no one could have ever done on that incident. Yes.
Elliot, I would want to try and just bring in public opinion into this discussion. You are saying nothing could have been done. But from your response, from what you said is, when you got to the scene, you could hear some devastating cries from people who were trapped underneath. And what has been the growing concern for most of the people in the public is, why was there no emergency crane to come and ensure that people that were trapped were saved? I want to pose this question to you now, Tawanda. How far are we in emergency response? How fast are we? In that moment, the crane was needed. And most have argued that if it had arrived on time, probably a lot of people could have been saved.
Okay, thank you. Firstly, I would like to offer my condolences to the families affected. This was a tragedy, and hearing or reading about what happened, it's sad, and there is emotional it's so emotional, and I would like to thank the President for declaring that accident a national disaster. Right, coming to your question, you asked about crane, emergency crane. In most cases, every council should have an emergency crane, as well as other stakeholders like the emergency medical services. They should also have cranes. As Parliament Portfolio Committee, we are currently working on oral evidence on road carnages. We want to, by the time we finish this, we complete this oral evidence, we would have gathered all the necessary information, and we offer solutions to the current situation that is in dire state.
Muneso, do you think this could have been handled differently in regards to the response and time response that was taken when this accident did happen? Because like Elliot did highlight, it was an accident. Yeah. No one has really been said this person was at fault, this person was overspeeding. It was literally just that. But the handling of the accident afterwards, do you think something could have been done differently?
Well, thank you very much. Our condolences as well to the families, but coming to the point you raise, normally, and I ride on what Elliot was saying, normally we talk of the golden hour, which is the response that is required and needed within the first hour of an accident. In this case, you get the word that the response, the medical services were there in about 15 minutes time, which is quite okay, which is very good actually. But you then realize that when they got there, there was then need of the jaws of life, as we call them. Mm-hmm. Somebody who can come and cut out if there is need for that to happen. And I also ride on Honorable Karikoga's point. You can only have so many of those jaws of life. They can't be all over the country. But they have to be stationed somewhere. Now, this is Chitungwiza. You then say, did Chitungwiza have enough medical responses, services? Perhaps they did not at the time in question. But was the 15 minutes good enough? Yes, it was. We have actually had cases where services arrive much later than that. So yes, they got to the point, but the nature of this problem at hand was such that they were not able to do it. But there's also the last point I want to make related to that, which, just judging by the videos that I saw yesterday, it also appeared like there was so much crowding around the scene that I think even passage to get there could have been managed differently. And we, as Traffic Safety Council, we continue to call on people to allow the medical services to render first aid, to render assistance, to be allowed through service. Even the motoring public, I believe they got there first because they then had to take the radical approach of getting there. But there were one or two other medical services that were on the way that were also trapped in the traffic jam that it was beginning to emerge. So I think it's a lesson that we should learn. It's something that we will continue to have a conversation with the medical emergency services themselves to see how better that can be handled in future, with the police, of course, also getting involved.
Fredrick, you would like to weigh in? What are your thoughts in regards to this matter?
Yeah, first and foremost, we express our condolences. This is so devastating. We are in a state of shock. Remember, we are the ones responsible for the transportation of people. We've been entrusted by the government. And when this happens, you make a deep introspection into yourselves. Where are we short? Where are we running short? Where do we need to improve? Do we wait for these things to happen to improve? What really happened? Right now, we actually do not know where to start from and where to end. We are still waiting for a statement from an official statement from the ZRP and as well as our lead agents, the Traffic Safety Council, to be guided. But what we would want to also raise is that the golden hour is the most important period to save life, because if the golden hour is attended to, we are going to save life. If it is not, we are not going to save life. We definitely, excellently, the service providers, the emergency service providers who are supposed to be there, got there in time. But now, like what our colleague from the Traffic Safety Council, the MD, have said, we need to improve from there. My message is that it's so devastating. Yes, we are still mourning, we are crying. The families, what they expect to hear right now is comfort. But now, how do we prevent it? Number one, we must identify what was in short, what that was needed first. It was the crane. Already, the issue of crane has to be solved to make sure that next time when anything happens, we must prove that we learned from that. But again, to the issue of the driver, we would want to say he was traveling in his lane innocently with the innocent passengers. All of a sudden, somebody came from another side. Then you would say, then, as a human being, through our standard, our conscience, we then say, we wait to hear from others. But we believe if there is anything he could do to prevent, we hope he could have. This is what we can say, but definitely this is a point of reference to us associations, operators. We've conveyed the message. Have we learned something? Do we continue to learn to avoid this?
Mm-hmm. Now, like you did say, what the families expect to hear right now is comfort. But then again, we should also be drawing some lessons, despite the fact that it is quite a tragedy. Let's talk about commuter omnibuses in general. They dominate urban transport systems, but sometimes operate outside formal inspection and education systems that have been put in place for them. So how is TSCZ expanding its road safety campaigns and inspections in order to cover everyone, the commuter omnibuses, whether they have been registered formally or they are operating outside of the speculated or the regulated zones?
Well, thank you very much. Primarily, the role of registration lies with the RMT, which is under a sister department under the Ministry of Transport, and they are the ones who are responsible for the registrations. And one hope, and they continue to do that role. But of course, you continue to see the rogue operators outside that framework. And when we engage, because we do engage with the various operators and their associations, one of the strong messages that comes out is that perhaps the ones that are now registered and belong to associations are a bit more compliant than the ones that are totally operating outside. And those are then left to law enforcement, who are then charged to do the needful and get those guys off the road. And this is what we are looking at. But I think going ahead also, I think from a planning and policy planning point of view, our recommendation to the parliamentarians and also to our government through our ministry is to say, let us continue pushing for properly regulated urban mass transport systems. Let's have a proper system that removes a lot of these pirate taxi operations. If that happens, and we believe that we'll get closer to bringing sanity on our roads.
Honorable, has this been something you have been tabling and discussing, the issue of making sure that mass public transportation is quite registered and it follows the proper due processes?
Yeah, I want to agree with what Mr. Mnodawafa said. The legal frameworks to ensure that everything is above board is there. What we are short of is enforcement. If we are to get statistics now to say of all the combi operators operating in our urban space, how many are regulated? You'll be shocked, maybe less than 10%. All others outside of 10%, they are illegal and non-registered. And if a public vehicle which is trusted to transport 19 people, 20 people, and the driver is not even known by any legal framework or statutory body, then we have a problem in the country. So what we need to come to your question, as Parliament, we are advocating for the Traffic Safety Council to become an agent so that they can also enforce these laws. Yeah, that's where we are. And it's also prudent for the combi or associations or organizations to also be able to fine and enforce their members, and those are operating outside the organizations to be also brought before the courts.
Fredrick, the most pressing question then becomes, why do you have so many public transport operators not registered under any associations?
First and foremost, the lack of a statutory instrument which compels. You see many people following the law. They are forced to follow the law. Right now, we've got the issue of the radio. It was assumed that people were not following, and there was a mandatory issue. I'm not trying to be controversial, but I'm giving an example. So if every operator is forced through the law to operate through an association, I tell you, that association will be accountable to its members. Right now, as we are, we have seen the proliferation of syndicate associations. We just put stickers. What defines an association? It is the Constitution, which has to be cleared to the Ministry of Transport, the local government, the Traffic Safety Council, have a file in the ZRP, a database of drivers and operators and vehicles. It won't be an issue. That's a defined association. Then a code of conduct with a disciplinary code, which is very clear. But how do these instruments come into play? That's when you have also a backed statutory instrument to make sure that everything is done according to book. But as it is right now, we've got syndicates, which discourages drivers to take defensive, saying, "We'll give us your money, we'll pay." We've got syndicates discouraging operators from having their vehicles going for testing at the vehicle inspection department. Don't put your vehicle there, give us your money. Don't pack papers. Remember, I always tell operators and drivers, these compliance papers or these requirements are there to be number one enforcement of safety to reduce road carnage.
Now, Fredrick, allow me to just jump in and just ask you, do you have a proven record of what you call these syndicates? Because from where I sit right now, it might just sound like it's a conspiracy theory to say some of the organizations are syndicates, they're doing A, B, C, D. Do we have evidence? Do we have proof? Do we have names of people who are doing this? Because the general opinion now would be these are the same people that are putting people's lives in danger if they're operating under shadowy syndicates, like you did say, associations that are not accountable.
Thank you very much. I want to answer you short and precise. The evidence is that we have got a very big list within the hands of the Minister of Transport of associations. But when we get into the ranks, you find out that there are 2 associations or 3, not more than 4. But on the list, a very big number in Harare. Where do you find these associations and stickers? At Mshika. Julius Nyerere, you find them. Along Seke Road, you find them. Everywhere, in front of any office, you find them. But how do we get to know this? How do we get the evidence? This is the evidence. If you want to know who is a syndicate association, they are going to put a sticker on a yellow plate. They are going to put a sticker on a vehicle without plates. They don't even come for engagements with the government. We come for engagement with the Traffic Safety Council. We meet the Parliamentary Committee, even the public, and even the police. They tell us what is expected of us. We are rebuked. But those, they hide. They don't even come for training. I'm here. I'm hearing from the EMS, from the emergency department. I'm learning. But these people, they are hiding. So where do we go? Vehicles with papers right now as I speak, they are not picking passengers. They are doing one trip at Copacabana. They are doing one trip in Market Square. They're not doing business with all these papers. Business now is in the hands of the pirates. So definitely, I tell you, the evidence is overwhelming.
Well, you are watching The Chase. Tonight we are discussing road carnage and emergency response in the aftermath of those carnages. You are watching The Chase. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Didn't graduate. I guess I blew it.
You couldn't advise him anything. He would just look at you and say, so who do you think you are?
We were just like really spoiled.
And then they just give me the receipt and I'd pay.
That guy walks in one day and then he says that he wants to make a movie.
He was blowing the money.
There was just like this habit that he had where as soon as he got money, it was gone.
I just didn't have the skills or the experience.
This money, I could see it disappear so fast.
The Phoenix Podcast has always brought you the best of the best.
I missed on that blessing, but I also regained it in some way.
In seasons 1 and 2, we introduced you to the industry's brightest stars, the ones at the top of their game, the creme de la creme. But season 3 promises to be even more exciting. We're bringing you even more fascinating guests, including the renowned farmer, Fredrick. And to top it all off, our very own host, Ken Sharp, will be stepping out of the interviewer's chair and into the hot seat as he gets interviewed by a surprise guest host.
From the boss, we've been beaten, but we're not beaten yet. We can still rise.
Konapo Ipapo by ZTN Prime, DSTV channel 294, the place to be.
Welcome back, gospel music lovers, to another season of My Ultimate Gospel 10. Your ultimate destination for soul-stirring melodies and inspirational stories.
Prepare me for a good day.
God is faithful because He's holy.
Like, wow, this is beautiful.
Each week, they'll be revealing their top 10 gospel songs. Meet Miss Becky K, the dynamic and passionate new presenter for Season 3.
If you are ready, let's get into My Ultimate Gospel 10.
Premiering soon, only on ZTN Prime. Stay tuned and let the music uplift your soul.
Welcome back. You are still watching The Chase right here on ZTN Prime. Tonight, we are discussing road carnage as well as emergency response in the aftermath. Of course, the focus is coming after the horrific accident that happened along Seke Road on the 22nd of July. Before the break, Fredrick was just telling us about how compliant or non-compliant some of these public transport operators are, and the issue of there being a need to enforce a law that makes sure everyone is compliant. Every public transport operator is actually forced, quote unquote, to comply in order for us to deal with this menace. Now, Minister, I want to hear from you as the Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe. Do you have anything to say in regards to that and how we can be dealing with that?
Well, thank you very much. Yes, I think firstly I want to congratulate and thank our Minister, Honorable Felix Mona. He has insisted that we should now have the associations and that all the operators should belong to an association of their choice. But I think the small challenge that we need to refine as we are implementing this decision, and based on the lessons learned, is that even the registration of those associations, we have noticed some of them are registered as public voluntary under the PVO Act, Public Voluntary Organization Act, but the requirements there perhaps now need to be suited to the needs of the transport sector. And we believe that is a missing gap that now needs to be closed. So that everybody, when it's an association, it then has to abide by the issues related to road safety. I think that still remains a missing link.
Now, as the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, do you also oversee and ensure that you are giving the right associations the right mandate, the right bills? Because like Fredrick did say, and what like he is also saying, you are part and parcel of ensuring who is doing what, and also making sure you single out what is being termed syndicates, and not making sure that everyone just registers as a public transport association.
Okay, thank you for that question. When it comes to Combi associations, we are also stakeholders. Every citizen of this country is a stakeholder to such associations. And as Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, our role is oversight role. We don't dictate what needs to be done. We can work with associations, maybe on at a consultant level, but we can't dictate. That will make us part of the executive, which we are not.
Okay.
Yes.
So now, is there a way to navigate that? Solutions?
I strongly believe that now that there are lessons learned, which basically was the intention to say, let's try this, let it work. But as I'm seeking refinement of the same. And I believe within the ministry, we had an engagement even earlier in the morning, some of us with the Honorable Minister. And that is the feeling that is now coming out.
Okay.
That yes, we have brought quite a lot of order, but let's perfect this thing and let's make it totally work to the benefit of the country. And that is certainly one of the refinements that we are now looking at.
Now we're looking into the future, how best to deal with such accident scenes when they do happen. And one of the most important questions we should be asking ourselves is, how do we move on when that happens? How do we deal with it? As the emergency service providers, are you in an agreement and understanding with the police, with the firefighters, everyone who is involved in emergency services, or it's one man for himself?
Thank you so much for that important question, Faith. I will tell you, in Zimbabwe, there is lack of coordination between emergency responders. The emergency response system is not only ambulances. It comprises of the ambulance system, it comprises of fire brigade, it comprises of the police. We also have CPU, civil protection. They are supposed to be coming in there. I will tell you that all those departments, we are not talking to one another.
Why is that?
Even ambulance services, we have individual toll-free numbers. Mars have their own number. Discovery, we have their own number. CPU, they also have their own numbers, and there is no coordination. Even the public, they don't even know who to call when there's an emergency and how many resources are required. I'm sure you've seen Discovery ambulance services all over, and you didn't ask me when you responded, where are you going to get your money from? We have nowhere to go and claim. As Discovery ambulance services, we are riding on the generosity of our group CEO and founder, Mr. David Noen, who has been funding us. So we keep responding. Ever since our inception in 2024, we have responded to every road traffic accident that we have been called to attend, but we have not claimed anything from anyone from anywhere. There is no that system. So lack of funding. I will tell you, if you had to call any private ambulance service today to say come to a road traffic accident, they will be hesitant because there's no funding for that.
Now, we are going to go and talk about the issue of the road accident fund, which we have raised and talked about on this show a number of times now. It's a matter of now asking how far is it now with the implementation? How is that going? But before we get to there, you did say no one is talking to anyone. Why is that? Why is there no coordination? Have you ever reached out to other emergency service providers to discuss this? Or it's just a mentality of saying, well, they haven't talked to us, so we are not going to talk to them?
It's a big issue in our country. It even stretches to us, the individuals. We don't think it's our responsibility to look after ourselves. No one in Zimbabwe is prepared to pay for an ambulance service. So it's each man for himself. We just respond haphazardly. If you are lucky, if also the people know where to knock or where to call for emergency response. As an example, in this case, I think it took about 30 to 45 minutes for ICZ to call us after realizing that there was no ambulance which was going to Chitungwiza. That's when we responded. But if there was coordination, if there was collaboration, we could have done much better.
Where were your ambulances coming from? Do you not have others that are stationed in Chitungwiza?
Our ambulance is stationed at around Orange area, if you know the area. Okay. That's where it was when we were called, and we responded immediately.
Now let's talk about the road accident fund bill. This is a bill that is supposed to help fund emergency services in cases like this, and also protect the victims if they are involved in crash accidents. As the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee, how far is that bill? How far have you come in regards to implementation? When should we see it in force? When should it start paying out? When should emergency services start receiving their money's worth?
Thank you, Faith, for that question. I think this is where we need to appreciate the wisdom of our president. The scenario which was brought by Mr. Elliott just now is the current situation. If there is an accident, there is no coordination among medical emergency services. There is no coordination. However, I'm not sure if I'm qualified to answer this one, but I do know that there is a civil protection unit which is led by chairperson, and the chairperson is the district development coordinator of every district. So I think the coordination should be done in that office, because legally there is a chairperson. Coming to the road accident fund, I would want to appreciate Discovery Emergency Services for what they are doing in this country and what they have been doing for free. They are a business and they've been doing this for free. However, this will be addressed by the road accident fund when it comes into inception.
And when is it going to come into inception?
Right. At this stage, the bill is not yet there. It's the draft.
So it's just been...
Which is there.
So it's just all been all talk. Let's just talk about it. Let's talk about it. And no implementation as of yet.
Yeah, at this stage, we have to talk about it. And because when it finally comes to Parliament, we'll still go to people for their input.
But gentlemen, you'll agree with me. This has been in the discussion, in the conversation for far too long now.
Maybe allow me to come in. Look, I want to ride on and appreciate what the Honourable Chairman has said. It's true the bill hasn't gone to them. But what has happened is that the last time we were here, Faith, we were talking about a proposal that we had sent to government as Traffic Safety Council. And I'm pleased to say that at least the major step that government has taken is to approve the principles and the concept that as a country we need a road accident fund. So the next step now is what we have now been tasked to work on. And again, I'm not saying this because we are here today, but just today, the Honorable Minister Felix Mona, Minister of Transport, publicly gave us a charge as Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe and officials in the ministry to now start the consultations.
And how long will those take?
The consultations, we fully appreciate that we need to move with lightning speed to get this done, but we also need to appreciate that we need to capture the views of the public. So the plan that we have now put in place is one that takes us to at least 5 major towns, at least 5 cities, because the Constitution of Zimbabwe it demands that we do those public consultations. I think it's a process that, give or take, should take us about 2 months, where we take a draft bill, we subject it to input from the public. We take note of what they are suggesting, we put it in the bill, which then comes back, and after it has been endorsed as a draft bill, it then goes to Parliament, who on their part now also have to subject it to the parliamentary processes. But because of the nature of the challenge that we are working on, I am confident that, and also taking note of what our minister said to us, and my board chairman, Kuras Banda, was saying to me this morning, it's something that we are determined to complete within the next 2 to 2.5 months.
Okay, well, it seems like quite
and at least the initial stages, then send it to Parliament.
And then in Parliament, it's going to stay on your tables for how long? Because you will not move with as much speed as we want.
He was knocking my head and saying, I want that bill as soon as possible. We will oblige, Honourable.
Okay, hopefully it moves as quickly as it should, because it is a crisis we're dealing with.
We will also make sure that as Parliament, we are done with the bill before festive season.
Okay, the festive season is not too long, not too far from now. We'll be questioning again how far you've gone with it. Before the year ends, we really need to see some progress and some movement in regards to this. Now, we have asked this before, but allow me to just ask it again, if in case maybe some of our viewers are joining us, for the first time for these conversations. Who is going to be feeding into the road accident fund? Who is going to be paying for it? How is that going to work? Where's the money going to come from? How's the money going to be moving? That's the most important question. Honourable.
Yeah, that's a difficult question.
Okay.
If we are to check what other countries are doing in the region, some use they receive money from the fiscus, some from insurances, and some from donations. But we have Mr. Mnoda Wafaye. I think he can answer that.
Thank you very much. I think the Honourable Chairman has just hit it, the nail on the head.
Okay.
At this stage, we have proposals. But these are the proposals that will subject to public opinion. And if the public agrees on what has been proposed, I think obviously a part of it would come from the insurance sector. Not a large portion perhaps, but some contribution, because they are one of the biggest beneficiaries, by the way.
But a confirmation that it's not going to burden the taxpayers.
That's the intention. In fact, why the process has taken longer is because of the very clear guidance coming from even His Excellency the President, that we need something that works, that will be functional, that will be effective and efficient, but which does not add to the burden of the public. And that has been taken note of in the process so far.
Will it burden public transport operators?
I think the concept that should be there is that it should not burden anyone, but it should assist the country of Zimbabwe. So if we take within what is already being charged, if, for example, we were going to take from a portion, and I'm not saying that's what will happen, but if we were going to take a portion from the insurance subsector, of what is already being paid, perhaps the sector would then say, but we've contributed so much. But already, as you heard, they are making some contributions to, it's only that the structure would then change and become formalized. They called, for example, the insurance, the medical response services. And if you saw the press statement that was issued by ICZ, they said they were taking over certain responsibilities. But now this will be more formalized. And we believe it should not add too much to the burden. But where such a fund is being formed, my experience in government, having been in the public sector for the last 33 years or so, is that we need seed capital from the budget to just get it off the ground. Then it then starts feeding from the other income streams. In some countries, and I'm not saying again that it will happen here, but in some countries, they've put a small amount, maybe 1 cent per liter of fuel. The argument being that for it to be a road crash, there needs to be a car or a vehicle moving. And if you buy fuel and a cent is taken from a liter, the moment you buy fuel, the moment you start your car, you are insured.
Okay. And then the pedestrian is not insured?
No, you then insure everybody. The gap which is there now is that the insurance systems that are in place are based on fault, to say who is at fault and therefore who pays. But when it comes to the road accident fund, it's no fault based. It doesn't matter who is wrong or right. The idea, as he says, is to get people from the scene of accident and take them for treatment.
And I'm going to just ride on the assumption that all your public service vehicles are insured and they have insurance. When they do get involved in accidents, are the insurance companies paying out on time?
Yeah. Allow me to, yes, I want to first answer that, then I get to what a contribution that I want to make. Yes, we had to sit down and improve it.
It was bad.
It was not what is expected. Number one, it was because of lack of information dissemination, where the coming in of associations created a platform for transport operators and drivers to know the process. We had ZRP coming, saying, we have got people who are queuing up to the central police stations for compensation because they don't know where it is done, where it is processed. But now we've managed to actually mediate between our transport operators who are our members to make sure that whenever there is a disaster, we link with the ICZ, whether it's 1 o'clock, whether it's in the afternoon or morning, anytime. We are now linking. We had to sit down to improve it through the principles of engagement. So I can confirm that as I speak, there is a toll-free 591, which was launched by Insurance Council of Zimbabwe, where after we sat again, we said, you're the custodians of our money, which we deposit as a form of passenger insurance, as Insurance Council of Zimbabwe. What is it that you're doing with this money? We need to see the ambulance coming. So this is the reason why I can confirm to the public, and the public can confirm that our vehicles have got stickers which are written 591, and we've even gone to our churches, even actually selling out this number. So it's a matter of the members of the public to take these things seriously, because what I've seen is that members of the public, they are not serious with serious issues. They are serious with issues on social media of laughter. But these issues of emergency, of disaster preparedness, of all road safety, they don't believe the theme of the saying or the motto of Traffic Safety Council. They always say it's everyone's responsibility. So it is my call as an operator and also as an association leader that members of the public, you must spread this message even to your rural areas, to those people who are in remote areas, to make sure that the message is the same in urban and rural areas. Everyone must understand the process, and even the enforcement agents must also understand this, because they always interact with people. Then my view, which I wanted to put across, the road accident fund is very important. We must accept that the state of public transport right now is that even a lorry without papers is giving people transport, even the pirates. So what problem do we have now? The headache for the government, no insurance. The compliant are few, maybe 15%, 20%, like what our honorable have said is true. What are we going to do with the non-compliant? That's when the state is always overburdened. So the accident road fund is now coming to make sure that the government does not incur unbudgeted costs, but it will now be budgeted under the road accident fund. But how do we do it according to our view as operators? We must not actually destroy this one, the Insurance Council of Zimbabwe, the personal, which is mandatory right now, because already we don't have a problem. But the problem that we have, there's a gap of maybe the limit may not be enough because the post-crash period, there's maybe 5 years, 10 years, spinal injuries, you need to continue to get assistance. Maybe this is what is still lacking as of now, but in terms of death, as whatever, coffin and everything, assistance is there. But later, the post for certain time is not available. So this is our view. Let us have the road accident fund and also have this one which was statutory. I'm not saying this as an activist of any, but we are just saying it. Then lastly, they took time. I want to support our authorities. Why is it that they took time? It was done in South Africa. I remember one day, Mr. Mdonova, a South African presenter came, where they used to call it accident benefit fund. They now changed it to accident something. They changed it because they saw it was not working. It was becoming, everyone was just claiming, and up to now. So they are taking time. I respect that. I respect you. Take your time. Make sure that if it comes.
But not too much time.
Yeah, I agree with you. But while this we wait, there is now need for a budget which needs to be availed for the Ministry of Finance because of the lessons that we are continuing to say we have learned. There must be a budget. For example, we're going to have a budget review. This must be put into place. As stakeholders, we must sit down and actually present our paper to the finance minister and say, look, we cannot be a country without disaster preparedness. Can we have an emergency budget while we wait for the road accident fund?
Well, but I think that is not going to be as quick as we want because, like you did say, they are going to be reviewing those papers by December, before festive season, and mid-budget review is going to happen soon and all these other processes. But of course, all we want to see is things happening, moving quickly so that people are protected on our roads. And also, I'd like to pose another question. The 591 number you talk about, why isn't that all emergency service providers are just jumping on that number? It's a toll-free number that is there. Why do we need to have 25,000 numbers memorized in my head? If I want discovery, let me call this number. If I want this ambulance, let me call this number. Why can we not just use that one toll-free number to access everyone? I know you did say people are not communicating and they are not talking, but can we get this conversation moving?
Thank you so much, Faith, for that question. This is our wish. So, as Discover Ambulance Services, we've set an example. We have our own toll-free number, which is 991, and we are responding while we are waiting for the bill to be enacted. So, we are saying, as Discover Ambulance Services, this is the way things should be done. And those that want to learn the lessons, that want to flock to us, jump on ship. Let's do it together. Like our president's mantra, so I'm saying everyone involved in this, let's work together. Let's have one united number. Let's have a national call center. Let's have a national toll-free number that is functional. Go to other developed countries, they have a straightforward number. In
and
America,
that's what
it's
I want us to advocate for.
Yeah.
That's what I want, everyone who is here, I'm sure, is a stakeholder in whichever capacity that you are stakeholders in. And I'm sure you can help get this conversation moving. Let's just have one toll-free number for everyone in the country to access emergency services. Because I'm sure the one thing that has been a deterrent or that has stopped some people from getting help is the fact that they do not know who to call when it happens. Right. Now, let's talk about traffic violations. We have seen some cameras being installed all over the country. Has that been bearing fruit? Has that been progressing well from your perspective as the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee?
Thank you, Faith. On that one, I'm not sure. It's a very good question, but I'm not sure yet with statistics. These were installed 2 months ago by Home Affairs. And those statistics, they don't come to us. However, I still need to respond. I think it's much better for all traffic offenders knowing that they are being watched. And I want to commend the ministry and ZRP for that smart move. Our drivers knowing that I'm being watched somewhere, this will definitely reduce the number of traffic offenses on our roads. It is, however, my prayer that this must be done nationally. Mm-hmm. And we know the hotspots already. We know the areas of concern, and we should target those areas. Not only what you've said, Faith, I think as Traffic Safety Council alluded earlier, we need cameras on our roads, speed cameras on our roads. These days, if you drive in any highway, the fastest vehicles are buses. And we know our drivers are bullish and double lanes. They they do all sorts of things. So I think we need to urgently take this across the country to ensure that our drivers follow the traffic rules.
Well, some commuter operators have been heard saying they are not going to be told what to do by a camera. Just so you know.
I can share this, Faith. I was part of a meeting that was held in Kadoma last week. I think it was on the 17th of this month, where the major urban local authorities, you talk of Harare, Bulawayo, Gweru, Masvingo, all the cities were there, and a few others. I think there were about 15 plus or minus, where the Ministry of Home Affairs and the ZRP were very clear on the plan that they need the local authorities to take, which is to get the infrastructure ready for deployment of that system. And so it's and there was urgency in the discussion that we had, and strict timelines were given. So there is something that will definitely be happening, but a number of stakeholders have to come on board, and the local authorities were seen to be key. They were there, the service providers, the telephone, the Wi-Fi service providers, they were there. So there is a plan that is being rolled out, led by Ministry of Home Affairs.
Let me add something. We also need to revise our fines. They are too low.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the higher the fine, the less you're likely to commit an offense.
Yes. You just said my drivers were not under control when a camera. But if that camera ikawia ni fine $50, ano control one camera.
Well, hopefully these are the discussions that next time when we sit down and have a conversation about, we are talking solutions and timelines and how far we have come, and not that we are going to sit down and discuss it. It's unfortunate that we have run out of time, gentlemen, but thank you so much for joining me on The Chase today. You have been watching The Chase right here tonight. I am Faith Nyaude. In studio, I was joined by Parliamentary Portfolio Committee on Transport and Infrastructure Development, Honorable Tawanda. We also had Nesum Nodawafa, Director, Traffic Safety Council of Zimbabwe, Fredrick Maguraminga, Zimbabwe United Deregulated Commuter Operators, ZUTCO, as well as Yelo Chivige, Practitioner in Charge of Discovery Ambulance Services. Gentlemen, once again, thank you for appearing on The Chase.
Thank you so much.
And to all our viewers, thank you so much for joining us. Good evening and enjoy the rest of your viewing.
Two fans, one game. One of them paid for quality, the other didn't. ZTM Prime now offers premium live Premier Soccer League matches behind a paywall. Skip the stress. Watch your team in high definition, uninterrupted and in real time. ZTM Prime paywall matches, because real fans watch live.
Get ready to unleash your inner child. Today on Cinema Buzz, we're diving into the dazzling world of animation, where imagination knows no bounds. From heartwarming tales to action